What's up, guys? We are here with Mallory Duncan for an episode of Shaping Skiing. This is where I sit down with different team riders of Forefront. We go over their old classic segments, video parts that have just come out, and get a little insight into the behind the scenes of what goes into these videos and segments that we all love to see. So Mallory just put out, by the time you watch this, a video called Lines. That's a big project he's been working on for years. And it's so sick, man. It's huge. We're actually in Salt Lake City right now, about to have the world premiere tonight, and super fired up to show this to the world. But to kind of rewind a little bit, you came out with a project called the Black Country Journal a couple years ago. And if you haven't seen the Black Country Journal, it's a masterpiece. It is such a rad creative endeavor. And if you haven't seen that, check the link up top because you're going to want to watch that. It'll give a little bit of a flavor, a little bit of an idea of what Lines is all about. So do you see this project, Lines, as kind of a sequel to the Black Country Journal or its own entity, or how do you kind of interpret that?
Yeah. Well, appreciate the shout out first on Black Country Journal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is when we first made the Black Country Journal, like I didn't necessarily have an intent of making another project like that, but upon like showing it for the first time and being in Carbondale, like the second it ended, I remember turning to Patrick Elmore, who was the cinematographer on that one, and being like, dude, I have an idea for what we should do next. And it was kind of like a multiple part series that would kind of tell the continuing story of that interconnection between music and skiing. So this isn't necessarily a sequel, but it is like, something that draws on that same inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even noticed there's like a couple kind of shots, like some of the black and white shots, there's definitely some similarities from an aesthetic level that kind of bring up the same kind of vibe when you're watching it.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some Easter eggs in there that are supposed to pay a little bit of homage to the Black Country Journal.
Sick. Well, for a project like this, I know you've been working on it for a while, and just from watching it from the first reaction, like it is so well done. What kind of lead up went into this project, and how big of a crew did you kind of have for it, and kind of what were some of the details that you had to get in place before you really got into the weeds of shooting for it?
Yeah, it was way more buttoned up, we'll say.
Nice.
The Black Country Journal was pretty much shoot from the hip style, like just figure it out as we go, which was really cool to like have that kind of creative freedom to just kind of feel things out while you're actually out there and like come up with a storyline as you're moving through it and whatnot. But with this project, there was a lot more intentionality that was put into it on the front end. Our vision was very like outlined and very clear, and so that was really cool to just like have a little bit more of that kind of figured out on the front end.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we could be there in the moment and not be scared that we're gonna like miss a shot or that it wasn't gonna come together. In the
very clear outline of like the storyline and kind of how it moves through.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I mean, you kind of need that when you're dealing with a larger crew, which is what we had for this project.
Yeah.
We have multiple cinematographers, A camera, B cameras. We got sound people and gaffers and all this stuff. And so if you just roll up with no plan, it's gonna just be hectic and chaotic. So we kind of needed that for this project, and it presented some new challenges for me. It was a really big learning experience, but ultimately got to work with some like really rad people on it who helped to like guide that vision and bring it all together. Obviously Josh being a huge asset in the directing role, and then working with Hazen and Nick Cahill on the cinematography side, who just have so much experience, and especially like in the ski realm, especially. I had my boy Jake Burchmore there, who is kind of like become a staple homie whenever we go out together. And then on the music side too, working with obviously the rapper. There's a rapper in this whose name is Chima, and then a friend of mine who I used to make music with back in the day, who I literally know from like kindergarten.
Wow.
His name's Zach King, and he produced the main track for this.
Wow. So it's it's like people from a whole spectrum of your life that you've come across, and you brought people in from all aspects, from the skiing world all the way to like on the music side. It's just like a real collection of like all the people that you're kind of have known and are closest with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is cool. It's cool, like, coming up with like a second project, now I have a little bit of that sort of, I guess, resume, and so it was cool to like see more people being willing and stoked to like jump in and get in there with me and bring all of their skills to the table as well.
Yeah, it's when it becomes that collaborative effort, especially when you bring in that many people, I'm sure like you got to kind of make sure the vibes are good and dialed to be able to like creatively move through this whole filming process. Otherwise, you know, I feel like the end product might feel a little disjointed, but it seems so seamless. Like everything about it feels like it just fits together so nicely. So
yeah,
definitely
totally.
Huge shout out to the whole crew for crushing it on this piece.
Definitely.
For sure. And the director, Josh, is that someone you like have known for a while as well, or have you kind of met them recently, or?
Josh, I know from college.
Oh wow,
yeah,
nice.
So yeah, we linked up in Vermont at UVM, and
Sick.
yeah, we've stayed connected, you know, throughout the years. He went on to like kind of do some more, you know, larger scale productions. I was just kind of, you know, ski bumming it for a couple of years, and eventually our paths like reconnected in the Pacific Northwest. And so it was cool working with him and like learning from just the process of how things actually go down compared to
how you did
just,
it.
Yeah, just figuring it out as you go, which was like the initial sort of way of moving through it. And yeah, kind of like gaining that confidence for myself when I hope to, you know, step more into that director role in the future too. So I'm looking forward to that.
Sick, man. Well, let's get into it here and watch it. And Mallory's going to kind of take us through the creative process and otherwise on this. Excited to watch this here. And this all has an original soundtrack for the whole thing, correct?
Yep. Yeah, so we worked with a couple different musicians and like artists and stuff like that to bring together the whole soundtrack. So everything that you're hearing in the soundtrack is like original score.
So cool.
Pretty dope. Yeah, so this right here, we worked with this jazz drummer in New York. His name's Duncan. And so we were just, like, me and Josh were on video call with him, like, and he's just, like, in the studio laying down different beats, and, you know, we're, like, giving him feedback, and, yeah, it was cool to just, like, be watching the film and also working with the drummer, like, in that moment to create the soundtrack.
Yeah, in that live space. That's so rad.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, we're in Seattle, he's in New York, but, you know, modern times.
Exactly.
So you're an artist?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
What's your genre?
It's hip hop. I don't make it easy, swallowable. I keep it unadulterated.
Right.
I keep it pure. I've always been labeled an artist.
That from the heart that reaches the heart. He has to be true to his words,
Right.
his lyrics,
Right.
because it touches the mind, as well as the soul, as well as the body, and there's healing and deliverance in the power of the tongue. There's more to life than to be talking about negativity. If you look in the barbershop, there everything is built on our culture,
So
but it's
where was
centered
this,
around faith.
Where's this barbershop scene filmed at? Because it's got such a cool, real vibe to it.
Well, first off, it's kind of crazy watching this just because, I mean, this is like view 1000, you know?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Seeing this again, so it's fun to like come back. I haven't watched it like super recently, but to answer your question, so this was shot in Columbia City.
Okay.
And this barbershop, you know, we wanted to shoot in Seattle, and so we were looking at a couple different barbershops in Seattle, and we had narrowed down the list to like 3. And then one of the producers like shot a link to this one, and we saw the interior, and we were like, oh, this place is dope. And so initially, like Josh, I was in Portland, Josh cruised up there to go check it out, and like walked in there, talked to Tony, who's the barber in this scene, and Tony was pretty guarded. And so he was like, no, like you guys, no, we're not shooting anything here. Like, you guys gotta get out. Like literally just shut him out, like walked him out the door, was like, no, you gotta go. And we were so tied to this spot because it's just like a beautiful aesthetic. You know, we got all this like, you know, old school imagery and photos, and like it's just like exactly what we wanted. And so I talked to Josh and was like, he was like, you know, maybe we can try again. I was like, let me talk to Tony and let's see what we can do. And so I literally hopped in my car that day, drove up to Seattle, and just rolled in the next day and didn't say anything about the film. Just like sat down and was like, hey, I need to get my hair cut. Like, can you help me out? And ended up talking to Tony. It was just me and him in the barbershop for a while, and we just like catching up, you know, classic barbershop type shit, you know, just shooting the shit with one another. And, you know, partway through when he's cutting my hair, like partway through, I kind of mentioned like, man, this is a really cool barbershop. We've been looking for a spot to shoot a film. At this point, we kind of developed a rapport. And,
just you know, slide in there real nice.
Exactly. So the sales experience, I guess, comes in a little bit.
Exactly.
But yeah, Tony's the man and like just a really solid dude. And after we talked and I kind of explained the situation, he was like, all right, like, let's do it. You know, you guys, as long as you compensate us for using the space, like, let's do it.
Sweet.
So
you just had to confirm that you were a real one. You know, you had to get in there and hang out for a sec, so he knew that you weren't just trying to scam him or pull a fast one.
Exactly.
It's so sick though. It's such a beautiful space.
It's kind of like core though to like the barbershop scene. It's like you kind of got to establish yourself first, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of interesting. It's like a snapshot. Because I started focusing on myself more, I had to learn how to get confident and still with the message of inspiring someone. Like, I can't be nervous up here. I can't. It's just not going to do anything good for me.
What if these people in this place in this time weren't meant for me? What if they preferred another? And I imagine the call of the wild in a dream, disguised by daylight, yet etched in darkness. What if this gentle wind against my face whispers warning? Go home, young fool. Come back when you're old and gray or wise one day. What if the snow's stretching shadows conceal a sinister intent? Muffled underneath pillows of powder, the mountain protests my presence, but I cannot hear it over the clanging of my own hubris. Maybe I just didn't listen. So many missteps, misprotected. Drawn in by a mistress I wooed, played it cool, and ended up misconnected. What if the lessons I learned weren't enough?
Take my history and go out and write a story.
I'm justified by trust in myself in a weather window I should have never peered through. What if my might and my sight and my slight successes, security and uncertainty, so rested in my perspective and arrested by a method that I'm blinded by my objective? What if I already failed? I don't know it yet. Too focused on a line, enslaved by pride, pavement defined and a passion mislaid. What if risk is my vice and in rolling this dice I find it's myself that I played? Should have cashed out way back before I blew through fruits and left the piper unpaid. What if I'm not who I think I am? Undeserving of this praise laid on my plate, and when my fate is at stake, you'll remember the poor soul this imposter displaced. See, I have just one question. One question for the layers hidden by the snow's silent surface. One question for the screeching combat of the blizzard's impending barrage. One question for the peak's flinching forbearance, and one question for the deafening quiet of the endless, fearless wilderness. One question for the fumbling fool inside of me.
Damn.
What if?
That is such a powerful segment. I feel like there's so many ski movies and there's so much content that comes out that has narration that feels like it has no soul or real meaning behind it. It's like they're saying words to say words because they feel like that's what you should do. And I feel like that segment has so much emotion and meaning behind it and so much kind of artistic like creativeness, so to speak. Did you come up with the words for that?
Yeah, I did. I appreciate that, man.
Wow,
Thank
yeah,
you.
dude. That was awesome. It felt like, yeah, it had a total cadence, like a rhythmic hip hop cadence to it, like without any other beats or anything behind it. Just flowed so nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
That's dope. Yeah, I wrote that, like, initially wasn't exactly sure where it was going to go. You know, Josh and I had already connected at this point, and there was like a possibility of plugging this into a completely different piece that we were like assessing, working on. But I wrote that and like on an airplane, like,
Wow.
you know, it was on an airplane for 4 hours or something. And just like, that's what came out. And I remember I sent it to Josh and we were like, yeah, this needs to be like the backbone of this film that we're going to do. And so.
And just the editing and everything, the cuts, the sound design, everything about that was it was the full package of the spoken word with the shots and everything about it. That was a really cool transition.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, DJ editor killed it with that.
So now we're getting into some ski shots.
Yep.
Damn. So where is all this skiing shot at? Was it all over the place, or was it kind of in one location?
I mean, all of this was shot in California, but it was all throughout. But mostly shot between Lake Tahoe and like the east side of the Sierras, so like all the way down to Mount Whitney, like that whole, you know, couple 100-mile range. We were just bopping up and down for a couple of days as we were.
The snow looks good too.
The snow was really good. This is the equivalent of like lower powder in the Sierras. We don't get any of this, you know, Salt Lake City, like Champagne, super light. This is as light as it gets right here.
Damn. That mid-density snow though, especially you get a pair of Wrens and that mid-density snow.
Exactly.
That is a tasty combo.
That's what I always tell people, man. Renegades for that, that mid-density, even heavy, like it's the tool for the job.
Absolutely. And who's the artist on this track right now as well?
Yeah. So this is Chima. Chima the Stubborn is his name. And so he's a Seattle-based hip-hop artist. Cool. He's been making music for like, I don't know if I got the numbers quite correct here, but probably like 15, maybe even longer, 15, 20 years. And so he's opened up for like Souls of Mischief.
What? Sick.
He's opened up for like some really big Seattle rappers.
Seattle kind of like legend.
Yeah.
Like
total Seattle, like old school-ish
so
hip hop dude. He's played at a bunch of different venues in Seattle, so he's got a really cool style and his voice is like incredibly unique.
Yeah, he's got a real nice flow. Almost like MF Doom-esque kind of tone to his voice. I feel
for
like.
Sure. Yeah, that deep and like that. He has like a pretty abnormal sort of like cadence with his flow too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, give me the mic. Is this mic on? Check. The moment y'all have been waiting for has finally arrived. Put your hands together for my main man, Chima, the Stubborn.
What's interesting about both those things is that you're going out in front of people, and you are putting forth a message, depending on what your message is and the way that you put it out there. I think they're like of the same ethos. You know what I'm saying?
So when we have this conversation, you're talking about truth. But you got to be true to yourself. That way, when young people come, they don't leave the same.
Tony dropping gems.
Dude, seems like Tony's just filled with wisdom and
Straight
knowledge
for
days.
Yeah, he's like a reverend as well.
Oh,
when he's not chopping hair, so he's got things to talk about.
Yep.
He's definitely preaching.
Oh. The full circle moment right there coming back in. That's so nice.
Yeah. What's your genre?
It's hip hop.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. That was nice.
Hell yeah.
That was the full package between the editing. I feel like it had great skiing shots. It was like had so much depth to it in so many different aspects. How did like the creative process kind of compare to the first project you did, Black Country Journal, to this? I'm sure there was quite a bit of kind of differences to it.
Yeah, definitely completely different like sort of process. Where the Black Country Journal was very much just like figure it out as we go. You know, we had like a very, very broad idea of what we wanted to do. And then we just like got out there. It was basically me and Pat, and that was like the production team for the most part. And so we're out there shooting, not really knowing what's going on, you know,
just kind of going along with the flow,
just listening to jazz music, you know, like
vibing out,
maybe smoking a little bit of weed and just like kind of seeing where it goes, which was really cool and a very creative process in itself, and like I think lends itself to sort of that like improvisational nature of the Black Country Journal. This was way more intentional in a lot of ways, like going into each individual day of shooting. It's like we had a shot list, we knew exactly where we were going, we knew what shots we wanted to get. Like we had a much larger crew, so you know we have like gaffers and sound people and all this other stuff that I had never dealt with in the past. And then Josh, like just you know carrying the reins, or just like being the point person when it comes to directing and like having that vision as well, which you know, in the Black Country Journal was a little bit more of like this kind of collaborative process between me and the cinematographer, where we were both just like, oh, that'd be a cool shot, that'd be cool. It's like we actually worked on all that stuff, and so it was completely different. I mean, it was really cool being in that environment and like understanding how things are like typically done in, you know, maybe like a larger scale production, but it also like looking back at it, I think if I were to make another film and be in like that director position, I would probably find myself somewhere in the middle of those two things.
Totally. Because I think with something like the Black Country Journal, it's like you have it's like your creative liberties can be maxed out, because you don't have all these prerequisites kind of in place already, where it's like whatever you're feeling in that moment, whatever you want to shoot or however you want to go about it, it's like you kind of just roll with that, and it lets the creative freedom like flow to the max. But on the flip side, I feel like with this, you know, it's probably nice to be able to have a little bit, have your still those same creative freedoms, but with a little more structure.
Yep.
So you know that it can be represented maybe in a stronger way. So
definitely.
I totally see like how finding somewhere in the middle of that. But I mean, this turned out, it's super, super well done. And this made it into some film festivals too, right?
Yeah, it did. We got into some film festivals. It's just, it's going to be premiere in Banff later this week, which will be really cool.
Sick, dude. That's huge.
Yeah, super hyped on that. We're at a couple other film festivals. We're going to be, you know, doing a big tour, which is kicking off obviously tonight at Fisher Brewing here. And yeah, it'll be cool to finally like put it out there, you know?
Sweet, man. Well, I'm stoked to get it out to the world. By the time you're watching this, it's live on our YouTube. If you haven't watched it, go back and give it another watch. It's worth watching it multiple times. There's so many nuances you can pick up on. And be sure to follow Mallory on Instagram, socials. Be sure to give him some love and keep eyes out for possibly more projects coming in the future.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for kicking it, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
That was fun.